Hello cross stitch friends, thanks for joining me today. My name is Rebecca and this is Stitch with Me Daily. Today I'm going to be working on Long Dog Sampler's Scarlet Ribands design. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I'm still working on the top left section. This is kind of the area where pages 1 and 2 overlap. I haven't completed page 1 completely. I'm not completely done with page 1 because page 1 goes a little further down, but that section is currently rolled up in the scroll frame I'm using. So I'm kind of just going across the top. So that's why I still have some stitching left on page 1 to do, but instead I'm going across the top working on some page 2. In case you wanted that long explanation. So actually, before I get started today, I did want to say thank you to Clara, who left a comment on one of my previous videos, and she suggested that, she likes the music, but she suggested possibly playing some different songs when I do my videos with the music in the background. So instead of repeating the same song, maybe trying some different songs. And that's a great idea. I'm not sure why I didn't think about it, but it was a great idea, so I'm going to do that on future videos. But if any of you watching this, if you have any tips or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I read all the comments, heart them all, try to respond to all of them, I think. But I'm definitely up to any advice that you might have or any tips that you might have or something that you think would make it more enjoyable for you as you're watching these. All right, so today before I start stitching, I actually preloaded 6 different needles, each with 1 strand of the DMC folded over, because I'm stitching this with 2 strands of DMC. I think this is 28 count Evenweave. So 2 strands of DMC, 2 over 2, I guess they would call it, right? 2 strands over 2 squares or 2 threads. Anyway, so I had a little section of DMC cut off from the last time I stitched, and so I just separated that into the 6 strands and preloaded 6 needles and just decided to stitch away as much as I can. And yeah, it's kind of nice doing that because then I don't have to stop and thread any needles, which earlier today I have a lot of full coverage hay designs, and so there's a lot of needle threading as you stitch through all of that confetti. So sometimes this is why I like having more than one project that I'm working on, because after I spend some time today working on those heaven or designs with all the different colors and changing colors, it's kind of nice to just settle in and work on a pattern where I'm just one color, right? And all I have to think about is, where's the next square that I have to stitch. So the other thing I was going to talk about today, I think this is going to be a quick one today because, like I said, I only have 6 needles. Oh, speaking of needles, as I'm working on this, I realized that I prefer, so I have all different types of needles. I have some like DMC needles that I just picked up at the big box craft store. I have some of the Pat's, I think it's like Pat's Favorite needles, and I have some of I believe it's John James, the petite, and I notice I prefer working with the petite needles because it's quicker, it's easier for me to kind of flip them over in my hand and turn them, so like I pull it up, flip it quickly in my hand, and then get it back down into the fabric. So it was more noticeable to me today because in this short period of time, I was working with all the different needles, and I definitely noticed that when I picked up a petite needle that was loaded with, DMC and ready to go, that just stitched up kind of worked better in my hand. And I've also seen people talk about like a ballpoint needle and some other different ones. I might try some different ones. I also have, what's the other one? The bone needles? Like BOEHN, is that right? Yeah, I like those too. Okay, anyways. All right, so let's see, what else have I been doing lately regarding stitching? I've been watching a lot of the videos about WIPGO. So if you watch Flosstube videos, you're probably very aware of WIPGO. If you're not familiar with it, WIPGO is a year-long challenge put together she goes by Jessie Marie Does Stuff on social media and here on YouTube. And I'll link to her video, her WIPGO 2022 video that she just recently put out, where she explains the whole WIPGO process. And basically WIPGO is kind of like a bingo board, but it's bigger. It's 5x5, so there are 25 squares. And so prior to the new year, you create a WIPGO board. Everybody creates their own board, and you put whatever sort of goals or challenges you want on each of the squares. And the squares are numbered 1 through 25. And then each month, Jessie will pull 2 numbers, and those are the projects for that particular month. So everybody who has their own individual board will look at it and say like, oh, in January, numbers 2 and 15 were drawn. So then you would work on whatever your goal is for that you had written in box number 2 and box number 15, right? So, again, I'll link to her video if you're interested in it. This past year for 2021, I had seen it and I had joined the Facebook group, and I did not create my own WIPGO board, but I watched a lot of people, completing their challenges. And so I think I know I'm going to participate in WIPGO for 2022. It sounds weird, still getting used to saying 2022. But I'm excited to do it. And if you all are interested in seeing what I'm planning for WIPGO, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll maybe create a video where I discuss my WIPGO plans. But I will say that I create my WIPGO board. Basically, I set goals probably differently from possibly some other people. And I say that because my goals are you probably don't know because I haven't explained it yet. I set goals that are really, really big and seem to be really out of reach. Like, the big thing nowadays is, well, not just nowadays, but, a lot of goal setting people, whatever, say to set SMART goals. And SMART goals are attainable. Like, the A in SMART stands for attainable. It's something that you can do. You know, it's not too big. It's reasonable. It's attainable because, or achievable, I guess. It's realistic, right? Yeah, I don't like setting realistic goals. The way my brain works in the way that it either gets bored with like easy attainable goals. Before I even complete them, my brain's like, oh, this is boring. Like, this is easy. I could do it. I'm not even going to try. And then maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But I noticed that if I set like really big goals that don't seem attainable, that seem ridiculous, that seems like, you know, they're out of nowhere, my brain does this thing where it like kicks into problem solving. And I don't know, I like operating at that level where my brain gets kind of creative about figuring out ways to reach big goals. It's like presenting myself with that challenge, and my brain just enjoys taking that challenge and trying to figure out ways to reach it. And I don't always reach my goals, obviously. But I also am 100% okay when I don't reach goals, in that in this business group I'm in, my business coach talks about how everything is either, you get the results you want or you learn a lesson. So, you're not regretting anything, right? You're just like, so if I set really big goals and I don't meet them, on the way to work towards meeting those goals, I've probably pushed myself. I've probably achieved more than I would have had I set little, small, easy, or if I had set smaller goals, it's also possible I might have gotten bored, just because that's what my brain does, right? And I don't think everybody's brain does that. I know there are a lot of people who talk about setting SMART goals, and that's what works for them. But for myself, I've attempted SMART goals, and it's not where I thrive, I guess. It's not where I produce my best work. I produce my best work when I set like really big goals, and I force my brain to try to get creative and figure out ways to reach those goals. And so if I don't reach the goals, I don't get disappointed, because even if I don't reach the goals, usually what I do achieve is still more than had I just set the little goals. Like, it's still on the way to achieving those big goals. I've still grown and learned lessons or gotten better or whatever. So I don't take it personally. I don't take it to mean anything about myself if I don't reach a goal, like a really big goal. I don't tell myself, oh, you're horrible. Like, look at those people reach their goals and you didn't reach your goals. Like, I don't do any of that to myself. I don't beat myself up about it. What I do is I sit back and I'm like, oh my goodness, didn't reach that goal, but look at what I did do. Like, that's amazing. Yeah, and I always find that I do amazing things still because I just push myself. So, anyways, and I like pushing myself. I like pushing myself, even though this is a hobby and this is something I do for fun. I like pushing myself in that when I do that, I find that I focus more. And I find that, like, let's say I set a big goal to complete a project in a time span that might not be reasonable. What I end up finding is I find little pockets of time where I can work on it, where had I not been pushing myself, I would have maybe just been doing other things with that time that I didn't, that I would just lose that time. But yeah, like when I'm trying to reach goals, I also, for myself, I don't get frustrated. I don't get stressed out about it, because the end result of my goals are always something I really, really want. And so, working to try to get what I really want, the whole process of it is enjoyable to me. Like, I enjoy working for that end result. So, so that's, what was I talking about? I was talking about WIPGO. So yes, that's how I'm doing WIPGO. My goals are going to be ridiculous, and I'm super excited to see what creative ways my brain kind of processes and comes up with to work towards achieving those really big goals. There's a lot of projects that I want to get done because I want the finished project. I want to enjoy the finished item, whether it's on my wall or whether it's something I plan to finish as like a small, like a pillow or something, whatever it is. I have all these beautiful patterns that I've bought that I want to finish because I want to enjoy the finished piece. So I'm really going to push myself to try to get some finishes. And that seems a little silly to say, seeing how, if you watch any of the other videos on my channel, I have all these huge, full coverage pieces or long dogs, which are a ton of stitches. But I also have a lot of patterns for smaller things that I think I can have a nice mix of smalls and bigger projects. And sometimes I see people on social media talking about like how do people have so many projects on the go, or I mean, just like, how can you work on so many projects? And I'm obviously in the group of people who like to have a lot of different projects I'm working on. But for myself, it's because a lot of the projects are kind of different, I don't have, I was just going to say I don't have too many projects that are like similar and started, but that I'm not going to say that because, again, I have like 3 Hades, which are very similar, 2 long dogs. But my other long dog that I have, I'm stitching it with sulky thread, and so that's just 1 strand of sulky, and it's on Ada, and so that's a completely different experience when I'm working on that. So even though it's a long dog, like how this one's a long dog, it's just a different experience. So sometimes if I'm like, I don't want to work but 2 strands on Evenweave, I just want 1 strand on Ada, I can just pick that up. I also have, I like samplers. I like cute, colorful projects. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do some more of those videos also. I have done one video where I was stitching on my Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow. But when I filmed that for the video, I was stitching that in hand, and I don't know, it was just kind of, the process was a little more difficult to film it, and I don't think it was as interesting to watch because, it could have made you motion sickness because I kept moving and I wasn't staying in frame and all of this. So I might work on that one again, but instead work on it in a hoop or frame or something, so it's a little more steady. But I have that. I have a couple other projects that I want to get started just because, I don't know, I like working with different colors of DMC or working on different fabrics. Yeah. So what else can I tell you? I don't think I have much else to say. And I'm almost going to be done here with my stitching. The one thing I would say is I'm still trying to figure out my favorite ways to end my threads. I know my preferred method of starting a thread is the loop method. And on Ada, I do the pin stitch. I think next time I'm stitching on this one here with the Evenweave, I think I'm going to try to do the pin stitch. X-Stitch MD, Shiloh here on YouTube, she has a video about how to do a pin stitch like with the Evenweave or linen or something, so I might link that, but I think I might try doing that next time I work on this one. Right now what I'm doing is I'm kind of just doing like a tail finish almost, like I run the thread like all the way up the top or something, and then when I start the new one I stitch over it, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so I just might try something different. I enjoy, trying new things, trying different methods, because there might be certain situations where I prefer using one technique over another. And if you watch my full coverage hay videos, you'll see that I do all sorts of different things. I do a little bit of cross country or parking or mix it up. I like trying and seeing what might work or what might be better for me. So, yeah, so I think I'm going to end this video here and try to get it uploaded. It's pretty late on Sunday night when I upload this, so we'll see. But otherwise, my goal is to have more content coming out for you later this week. So I hope that if you enjoyed this, you hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And I really appreciate you joining me in today's Stitch with Me. And I hope to see you on the, talk with you soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.